On this journey, I travel across the Inner Hebrides.
Love this. I love exploring islands.
I meet people whose history is woven into the land.
I think it's very hard to sit somewhere like this and not get a sense that there's something bigger than you.
I follow the ancient sea roads and explore Scotland's cradle of Christianity.
Columba must have been pretty disciplined to use these to spread the word of God.
Join me on a 1,000-mile journey across 20 of Scotland's magical, sacred islands. I'm beginning this leg of my journey by ferry. A very modern way to begin a pilgrimage. Setting off from Oban, I'm sailing down the Sound of Mull and heading to my first destination, the Isle of Tiree. It's the most westerly island of the Inner Hebrides.
So this is the whole arc of my journey. Just ahead of us is Tiree, where my journey begins, before I head around to neighbouring Cole, then scoot across the water to the Treshnish Islands, and then hidden around the corner is probably the most important island for me, Iona, the island that I named my daughter after. I feel like a little child in a sweet shop right now because I'm going to islands that I've heard so much about. I've seen photographs, I've read the stories, but I've never actually been to them.
There's something magical about the sight of an island on the horizon. These are the very seas that early Irish missionaries crossed to reach remote islands, build monasteries, and establish a new faith. I want to explore the story of early Christianity in Scotland and find out what it means to live on these sacred islands.
Just imagine 1,500 years ago, those early pilgrims heading across these waters to these remote islands. Dead calm today. We're almost in the summer, although it's still really cold. But I'm imagining huge oceans, tiny boats. They were truly brave adventurers. I get the luxury of the huge ferry. So here we are, first port of call, Tiree.
Tiree is well known for its secluded sandy beaches. Thanks to the Gulf Stream, the island basks in more hours of sunlight than any other part of the British Isles. It's 10 miles long and is home to 650 people.
Each island has such a unique personality, and this is just expansive and flat. And the flatness doesn't mean boring, because look at this. I mean, this is just unbelievable.
There's no town here as such. Instead, the landscape is scattered with houses and crofts. Surprisingly, this exposed island is incredibly fertile. The shell sand that sweeps across combines with soil to make rich earth known as the machar. In the 6th century, crops were so abundant that Tiree provided grain to Irish monks on neighbouring islands. There are now over 250 crofts, and this one in Coollis, run by Rhoda, has been here for over 100 years.
So this was built in 1891. Who did that?
My great-great-grandfather built this house, yeah.
I actually find that really moving. Not many people get to live in the house that their grandfather built themselves.
Yeah, I think there's always a sense that the family's kind of there, that there's a past there. And I find that really important for me. It's grounding. I've always felt a connection to this house. I think I said I was about 7 years old, and I said to my dad, I'm going to move back here, I'm going to fix up the house, I'm going to do it. And there was a wry smile, and it took until my 30s to manage it, but I did. I do feel a responsibility to keep some of that tradition going and to kind of, I don't know what it is. It's that connection to land.
Here we go. Some of your livestock.
I don't want to hold Rhoda back from her work, so we're heading off to check on the sheep.
They're growing up, they're getting more independent, but I always like to go and make sure that nothing's gone amiss. I call myself a trainee crofter, because I didn't grow up with it, and what I knew when I started could be written on the back of a postage stamp, and I think, what I know now, we can maybe go to a matchbox, never stop learning. But yeah, it's lifestyle, and it's very much part of who I am.
I see a few. There's almost sunbathing.
Yeah. Totki! Toet! Toet!
What are you calling?
Toet. Come, Troet in Gaelic. Toet! Here's Vader.
Lord Vader or just Vader?
Just Vader. Vader! Toet! Toet toet!
Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Hello, Vader. Now look, I need a coat like this. This is what you need when you live on an island. That's what you need to keep the weather out. Wow.
Yeah, he's more sofa than sheep, that one.
What does it take to be a crofter?
Grit, I think. Determination. Realism. Things go wrong all the time, and you're never going to beat nature. You can't be afraid of hard work and heartbreak. Things die, things fail, and I guess resilience is a key thing to crofting. You've got to bounce back. You don't have a lot of choice.
And I'm assuming crofting, especially on a small island like this, relies on the spirit of community.
It always has. And people also have other jobs. I work remotely in technology and in tech.
I love this. What would your grandfather make of these two kind of worlds?
I think he'd have kind of liked it. I don't know if the computer part would have made sense, but he was a Baptist minister, he was a crofter, he was a boat builder, he was a blacksmith. He did incredible things. He was multi-skilled, and that, I think, is very much a way forward for the islands, is that, we have the opportunity to work remotely.
I admire Rhoda's dedication to carrying on her family's croft, having one foot in the old world and another in the new.
I'm really fond of this spot. There's so many stories that I can see from here. I love it.
And these stories, is it written? Is this all oral history that has been shared from generation to generation?
Increasingly it's being written down. My dad's making a real point of writing down the history of this croft, but also this part of the island, which is so important because we're losing that. Where we're sitting right now is called Craig Gyfalnich, which is the rock of the monk, and it kind of runs the whole rocky bit we've got here. And the story goes that there may have been a specific rock that was the kind of pulpit where the monk preached. We don't know what rock it was, we don't know if there was a monk, but you have that tradition of story, and it comes from somewhere. There will have been someone who was the monk, And again, its language is telling us part of the story.
Religion in this part of the world almost seems to be a part of the culture and the history. Is that fair?
It threads through a lot of things, whether you're personally religious or not. I think it's very hard to sit somewhere like this and not get a sense of being quite small, that there's something bigger than you. That the history's bigger than me, the culture's bigger than me, the view's bigger than me, and I'm just a really tiny part of that.
Isn't it amazing? I'm still on Rhoda's croft here, drops off into the ocean. And I love the fact that it's largely unchanged from her father and her grandfather before that. There is a real sense of connection to your history when you live on an island like this. But when you live in a big city, when you live on the mainland where there's a density of people, it's much harder to feel the tangibility of it.
I love the idea of a monk preaching on Rhoda's croft. Spirituality resonates so strongly through stories people have preserved here. I'm following the coast road 3 miles south to visit the medieval ruins at Kirkapole. Tiree attracted Irish saints throughout the 6th century. It was easy to land on by boat, fertile and close to neighbouring Celtic settlements. The monastery here, of course, has long gone. But 800 years later, these chapels were built in honour of the most famous saint of all, Columba. He arrived here nearly 50 years after the first Christians reached Tyre. Just below the ruins is the beautiful 2-mile-long beach at Got Bay.
I'm still imagining those pilgrims, those early settlers arriving here in tiny little boats. What was it that attracted people? Was it the isolation? Was it the safety of this island? Was it the religious pull? I suppose that's what I'm here to try and get to the bottom of.
Today, 3/4 of people on Tyre consider themselves religious. I want to know if living here can strengthen faith. I'm at the old harbour in Hainish to meet Ishbel, a local teacher who's part of the Baptist church. Her father was a local minister.
I find a spiritual draw to island life. Now, I haven't been to Tyre, this is my first time. I can already feel calmer.
I know in Celtic tradition they sort of talk about Tyre being a thin place. I don't know if you've heard of that. And it seems to be one of these places where you have a closeness to God, if that makes sense.
The sun feels a lot stronger here. I don't know. In all seriousness.
It's not always like this.
Do you think it is just down to the beauty of these islands?
Perhaps it is that sort of remoteness and maybe more tranquility and peace and time to think about these things. You are able to slow down a little bit more and actually consider life's big questions or, you know, what it's all about.
Ishbel, what's your connection to Tyre? Were you born here?
Well, my family were living here when I was born. We moved around quite a lot and then was in Glasgow to study for a few years.
So what was it that drew you back?
My husband and I were in jobs teaching. We'd said to each other, you know, oh, it'd be nice to move out of Glasgow a little bit, but hadn't thought of Tyre at all. And there happened to be 2 jobs. So we thought, let's go, let's give it a shot.
If we look at the context of many of these islands here in the Inner Hebrides, they've got a long history of pilgrims being drawn to them. For you as a Christian,
Yeah.
I'm wondering what this island gives you, provides for you.
Well, I mean, you can see around, it never fails to amaze me, just the creation here. The vastness of the skies and the landscape. I love running and I just love getting out in nature, and just, to me, it just helps me appreciate my creator. More just what he's given us, and whether I'm the top of a hill or down on the beach, it never gets old.
I don't think I'd heard this concept of a thin place. My interpretation of that is somewhere that's very close to something that isn't this. It's another place, whether that is one of, in a religious context, in a spiritual context. I suppose it's like a portal to another world. And I like that.
Time to put Ishbel's advice into practice. 9 kilometres in at Crossapole Beach, and the landscape has taken me to another place. I'm overwhelmed by the extraordinary beauty of this place. It does make you think.
I love exercise. It doesn't have to be a run. We live such a fast life that you just don't have that moment with no distractions, no phone. No nosy film crew all around me asking me what I'm thinking. It's kind of my time. And to do it in a place like this on an island, genuinely I think gives me another version of that island.
I love that feeling after a run. The sense of achievement leads to a wave of optimism and excitement for the next leg of my journey. I'm heading back to Scarinish to jump on another ferry. The crossing to the more rugged Isle of Coll is short and sweet. At their closest point, they're only 2 miles apart.
As neighbouring islands that are almost touching one another, the arrival point where the ferry comes in is identical, but already this has a real heart to it. And that's not to say Tyree didn't have a heart, but it was quite spread out.
This is Arranagawa, the main village on the island. White cottages look across Loch Echerna, forming a bay that stretches out into the sea. Not a bad spot to live.
It feels on Cole that this is the heart of the community. And because of that, it already feels very different. It feels like a people-led island. It's incredibly quiet.
Around 200 people live on the island, although I'm not sure where everyone's hiding today. Cole's 13 miles long, and at Howe Bay the coastline is rocky, but the sandy beach is pristine. 6th century Irish monks travelled to remote islands not only to spread the word of God, but to live alongside communities. They shared literacy skills and knowledge of the land. There's a modern equivalent of passing on wisdom happening on Cole today. Since 1967, Project Trust has welcomed young volunteers to the island to live with its residents and train for overseas aid work. But what is it about this particular place that sets them up for their journey ahead? Maria and Heather are locals who've experienced this firsthand.
Wow, look at this. It's lovely. We've got a seal out there.
I know, we've got a wee visitor.
Luckily for me, they both love to go kayaking.
Oh my goodness, this is a lovely bay. What's it called?
Breathtaking Bay.
Breathtaking.
Yeah.
It's great to get out on the water and take in the stunning landscape.
Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. So Maria, tell me a little bit about Project Trust. What is it?
Project Trust is a charity that sends 17 to 18-year-olds abroad to various different countries, many different continents.
And what's the connection to Cole?
The volunteers come over here to be selected, and you get put with a host family and live with that host family on call.
So does that mean, as a Cole resident, that you and your family hosted people over the years?
Yeah, so I mean, it was amazing. We met, as kids, so many different young kind of 16, 17-year-olds from all over the UK and abroad. Yeah, random people who all kind of had the same sort of passion of travel.
And you applied to go overseas yourself?
I did, yeah. So, I mean, for a long time I was like, I can't do it, like, I don't want to do it. I feel like I can do it myself. But the support that Project Trust gives people overseas is really amazing.
I love all the seals around us, by the way. You know we're being
They're
watched.
just surrounding us.
And what about you, Heather?
Yeah, I loved it when I was in primary school. Loved it my parents done it, especially when I was the only one. My siblings had all gone and it was just me at home. It was a great thing.
Do you think it helped you in some ways not feel like you were missing out on things because people were coming to you and you were hearing other people's perspectives and stories?
Yeah, it definitely gave you an urge for travelling and wanting to do what they had done and excited about it.
I love this fact you're both talking about your love of travel, but you're both here.
Yeah,
Where's all this travel happening? By the way, I don't see why you would want to leave on a day like this.
yeah. I mean,
We have detached ourselves at some point.
I'm starting to see Cole differently. For such a small island, it has big aspirations. Here you can meet people from all over and travel the world.
Maria, do you think, had you not done the Project Trust and gone off to Nepal, or if it hadn't been part of island life with people coming here, do you think you would be the rounded person, the individual who's in front of me now? Do you think it is part of who you are?
Yes, definitely. You know, a call person is very different to someone who hasn't had the experiences we've had. Yeah, we were extremely lucky as children growing up here.
I'm imagining my own children here, and this would be a pretty idyllic place.
How old are your children?
They are 10 and 11, and they would just love all of this. Do you think it is a pretty idyllic place to bring up children?
Yeah, definitely. I certainly wanted to come back home and have my family here, and I'm glad I have. They absolutely love it. I think it's such a nice community and everyone socialises together. I think that's a huge plus.
Well, here's the thing. Do you think those on the mainland, those in cities, are missing out on something?
Probably. I think if they come out and brought their young families, they would see why we live here and why we enjoy it. And it's good to go to the mainland. I think you need your time away, but a few days is probably enough and you're always longing to come back.
I can see why. This is magnificent. There's something really beautiful about being out, especially on a calm water like that, seals popping up. This is a very outward-looking island. It's no surprise that you can see so many different islands here because the world also comes to Cole. One of the things that put me off as a parent moving to an island myself with my children was that I worried that they wouldn't get that understanding of the wider world. But just the fact that people from all over the UK come here for a couple of weeks of residential to live with islanders is a beautiful thing, isn't it? Because that's how you share values.
I'm 400 miles from home on a remote island, but Cole's sense of community certainly doesn't feel isolating. This place isn't what I was expecting. Walking up from the beach, sand becomes machar. Machar becomes rock, and rock becomes a single-track road that snakes back to Aranagowa. Even if you don't have a faith, ideas like common humanity and helping one another are vital to the success of remote communities. Someone who's experienced that firsthand is Julie. Coming to live on Cole sparked a kind of enlightenment for her.
I have to say, I'm already loving the feeling of this island.
As soon as you step off the ferry, that just hits you, you know, it just calms you down.
So what's your connection to the island?
Way back in the 60s, my grandfather was a guard on the Stirling to Oban mail train, and he met a couple from the Isle of Col, and he got really friendly with them, and he started coming on holiday. So the whole family followed a couple of years later. We used to play in the silage pit at Gallinach Farm.
Silage pit?
And that was a really early memory, jumping off the wall into the silage, and all these things we never forgot.
Do you think it was quite a free childhood?
It was a free childhood. I was okay, and then I started to realise that my life was a bit different from the rest of the kids. And I remember doing some art in the art class in the primary school, and the girl that was sitting beside me said, "Oh, you've got such small, lanky hands. These are girls' hands." I remember that meaning something to me. I liked what she had said.
Is it correct to kind of say you were confused about your identity?
Absolutely, absolutely. You remember, I was just a wee child at this point, and I just didn't know why I was different. I would be hanging around with the girls, not the boys.
When did you finally feel kind of free and comfortable enough to be who you are?
I spent a lot of my life trying to run away from what was probably the inevitable, and it was here in about 2004 where I just got to the stage and said, I can't run away from this any longer. And I went to the local doctor here and told her about it.
I think a lot of people might think that small islands can actually be quite conservative with their values, and that this might actually be a harder place to be the real you.
I suppose to start with, that was the case, you know, because especially out here, people had never heard of transgender or anything like that. But when it became, you know, much more known just on the island that that's what was happening to me, they began to see well, this is not as bad after all. I think the people were the most important thing. They came round and they started to nurture me and look after me. And I couldn't have done it without that.
I thought Julie's story was actually really moving. And I love that Cole gave her the confidence to find her real identity. I'm really loving the vibe of this island, so I'm actually a bit sad to leave it. But I'm particularly excited about tomorrow because I'm heading that way. You can see the silhouette of the Treshnish Islands. And by all accounts, it's a very, very special place.
It's an early start this morning. I want to follow the ancient sea route to Iona, which became the main hub for Irish missionaries in Scotland 1500 years ago. My route passes a chain of uninhabited islands.
Morning.
I'm hitching a lift with a local skipper and tour guide, John, and his deckhand, Amelia.
Can I come aboard? Thank you very much.
John has been sailing these waters for nearly 50 years, so I'm in safe hands. My journey takes me 10 miles east of Cole to the Treshnish Isles.
I'm just a little bit excited.
I'm following the advice of St. Columba, who sailed these waters in the 6th century. Out here, little has changed. He warned his monks of terrifying monsters in the deep sea. To avoid them, he suggested stopping off at this archipelago of rugged islands. John is now taking me to the largest, Lunga.
What a magnificent place.
Oh, you can't beat it. I mean, you got these guys coming in to say hello. And that is actually a sea stack, and you can get right around the back. Kittiwake nesting on the cliffs to the foreground. A lot of fulmar as well, guillemot on that sloping edge there. And then we've got razorbill puffin on the more grassy areas up there. It's a fantastic spot.
Some people have said that the Treshnish Islands were almost a stepping stone between Col and Tiree and the mainland.
Yeah, potentially. It's just, as we'll find today, it's not an easy place to land here.
It may look calm, but there's a big Atlantic swell. This gully is the only place we can land. John's manoeuvring around rocks hidden beneath the waves. There's just a tiny gap between the boat and sharp rocks. I'm helping Amelia tie the stern line. And I'm relieved we've made it in.
I was worried that was going to compress too much.
Likewise.
Safely on dry land, I say goodbye to John.
And here's the main thing. Am I going to be marooned here for a year?
Well, I could tell you a story about that.
Well, I might not be marooned for a year, but I certainly have a few hours to explore on foot.
That's what I'd probably describe as a sketchy landing. I think I had a very good captain there.
I'm at Corran Lunga, a rocky beach to the north. Although the island is deserted, I'm looking for clues to what once existed here.
It looks like there's a sort of path, there's certainly a wall. I'm going to hazard a guess that the actual community was up on the top, on the flat. Love this. I love exploring islands. It's my Robinson Crusoe moment.
Until the 1820s, Lunga had a population of around 20. Throughout the Treshnish Isles, people lived here as far back as the early Vikings. Imagine calling this your home. I almost envy them. There's a pure freedom that can come with living in such a remote place.
First impressions are just, wow. It's like a mini lost world. because it's not grand like some of the islands that I've been to, but it has this kind of ethereal, ancient feel to it.
This is Harp Rock, a 30-metre high sea stack. Peering over the edge into the vast and terrifyingly narrow chasm, it's teeming with life. Lunga is a protected bird reserve with nearly 50 different species. It's thrilling to be this close to them.
I'm overwhelmed on this island. It's kind of a metaphor for life, isn't it? Everyone's crowding onto one rock, all fighting for space. I've spent my life as a nomad, going from one place to the other, trying to find a place that I belong. I think probably the reason that I find this so powerful is a combination of the unexpected, full of life. It's a Sunday. Make what you will of that. I'm away from my family, always feel a bit sad. And I think that's what a pilgrimage is supposed to do, isn't it? It's supposed to elicit all emotions. When I talk about my place of worship, I don't think I really need to explain why I find this so powerful and energizing and uplifting. Because there is so much life.
It was John Muir who said, "I'd rather be in the mountains thinking about God than in a church thinking about mountains." In a place like this, I couldn't agree more. Back on the shore, a beautiful 32-foot-long sailboat, the Berta Maria, is waiting to pick me up.
I've been rescued. Look at my onward journey. Wow. This is when I slip and humiliate myself.
What an adventure. I love this.
And we're in. Brilliant. Oh, look at that.
Mark and his wife Anya lovingly restored this 80-year-old Scandinavian fishing boat and run trips around the Inner Hebrides.
Hello, Anya.
Hiya.
Nice to meet you.
A vessel like this is hard work. It's all hands on deck to get the sails up.
Wind's very light.
I know.
We're heading for their home island, Iona. It's a place I've never been to, but always wanted to visit.
There's something quite romantic about sailing. What do you think it is? What appeals to you guys?
Well, I'm definitely a romantic at heart. It's a lot about the aesthetics for me. I really love the working history of these kind of boats, and I love this kind of landscape and seascape.
Do you think it's amazing to kind of think back to 1,500 years ago or so, and those people that would have been arriving on some of these islands on tiny little open boats?
It's a common assumption that the boats in those days weren't very capable, but I think actually they were more capable than we give them credit for. It was much quicker to travel by sea than to travel by land in those days.
How did Iona in particular get this powerful significance for pilgrims travelling from all over the world? Why Iona?
They do credit Columba with being a major influence in bringing Christianity into Scotland. It offers different things to different people. Some of them will tell you that Iona is a place where, ley lines intersect, or it's a powerful place. Some people will just say it's a place of amazing light.
I've heard this term, a thin place. You heard that before?
It's that tissue-thin boundary between reality and the spiritual. I think being close to the earth, yeah. I wouldn't call myself a devout Christian, but I feel very strongly about this place and about the people. And I don't think I've ever had that feeling anywhere else.
You're originally from Germany, is that right?
That's right, yeah. I grew up in Eastern Germany. So I was 17 and the wall had just fallen when I came to Iona. Very impressionable age, I suppose. And it was amazing coming here. I just loved it. I loved the countryside, I loved the people. And I always wanted to come back, and I did that in 1999 to come and work for a summer, and I never left.
I'm 7 miles from Iona, and we're sailing past the incredible island of Staffa. Formed millions of years ago by a volcanic eruption, the columns of basalt are like pipes from a mighty organ.
This is another of the iconic islands. People flock here to see this Staffa. I mean, if ever there's a representation of the power of Earth to just create these wondrous places, this is it. Pretty stunning.
The uninhabited island is home to Fingle's Cave. It inspired musicians, artists and poets for hundreds of years. In 1818, Keats referred to it simply as the Cathedral of the Sea. I wonder what the Irish monks would have made of it as they passed by.
Can't believe I'm finally getting to an island I've heard so much about.
And there she is, the Isle of Iona. It's been quite a journey. I've travelled 100 miles by sea, and I'm now on the final approach. I've been dreaming about this place for a long time. It has a real significance in my house because we called our daughter Iona.
She's so beautiful. I'm really excited to finally get ashore. Wow, thank you so much.
Perched on the southwest edge of Mull is the tiny island of Iona. This is Ballamore, the only settlement and known locally as the village. It provides the essentials for the island's 120 residents. There are very few cars, yet Iona welcomes 130,000 visitors a year. Many on their own pilgrimage. But before I head off to explore, I want to let my daughter know I'm here.
Hello, Iona.
Hello.
Guess where I am?
Where?
I am on the island of Iona.
Really?
Yeah. Have a look at the beach. I'm on the shore now. Look how calm the water is.
Is there anyone on the island called Iona?
That's a really... Do you know what? I haven't asked yet. I would imagine there are some Ionas on Iona, but I haven't asked around. Are we going to come on a Daddy Iona trip up here?
Yeah.
It's a pinky promise. Okay.
Okay.
Love you.
Maggie. Bye.
Bye, monkey. Sweet. So nice. I feel I should be here with her, really. But life isn't perfect, is it? There's always sacrifices that you have to make. I'll be back.
Iona is described as the cradle of Christianity. There's one place that looms large over the landscape that I want to visit. I'm walking along Iona's only road north. Even though it was 1,500 years ago, everywhere I look, I'm reminded of Columba's legacy. He built his monastery near the grounds of what's now the Benedictine Abbey. It became a centre of learning and art. It's thought the Book of Kells, an illuminated manuscript of the Gospel, was created here by monks. From Iona, Columba's missionaries left to spread Christianity across Scotland, a religion that has shaped the world we live in today. It's a long time since I've been to a church service, but the grand wooden door is open, inviting me in.
The world belongs to God. How good it is, how wonderful. Love and faith come together. Move among us, God. Give us life.
This service is run by a modern ecumenical group, the Iona Community. It was founded by George MacLeod over 80 years ago. He brought ministers and unemployed skilled workers to the island and restored the abbey. In the 12th century cloisters, Katrina, the warden here, is going to shed some light on how the community works today.
There's something, for me, very special about Iona.
It's been a pilgrimage place for so long, and it just is such an effort to get here. And it's not on the way to anywhere else, so you have to really want to get here. We have a resident community, just a small bunch of folk, and we're here on behalf of the wider Iona community, which is a global scattered community, and we welcome guests to stay a week at a time to share in our community life. And we offer hospitality, radical hospitality, so go out of our way to make sure that we understand and listen to the people who come. So we try to live the gospel and to live it, which is often quite tough.
What kind of people come here?
They're looking for a kind of an engaged spirituality, and so the way that we eat together 2-3 times a day, we worship together twice a day, that sort of pattern of life where if you've disagreed with each other at one meal, the next meal you're going to see them. You're going to see them in church. You're going to see them the next day. You're going to see. So it's not. You can't just kind of switch people off. There's that sort of commitment to really to work that one out.
How does the island make you feel?
I love the landscape. I love being near the sea. I also think that Iona's very remote, but highly connected through its history and through the Iona community's work and worship. Every day I get up and look out the window, get out and feel whether it's the hail or the wind or the rain on my face, and I think, thank you.
It's amazing that the Iona community welcome pilgrims in the same space that Columba would have taught his followers. Just behind the abbey is Duneye. It's the only hill on Iona, so I have to get to the top. It's no Everest, only a short, steep 100-metre climb. I'm hoping the view at the top will be worth it. It's breathtaking. You can see the entire island. But bring a jumper. This is Scotland. From up here, Iona feels remote, but I doubt the early Celts would agree. This area is actually at the meeting of sea roads, easily reached from Ireland and little distance from mainland Scotland. It's the perfect launching point for St. Columba.
It's quite an audacious plan when you think about it. You've come all the way up from Ireland, you've landed on this beautiful island, and you're confronted with that. And you're not entirely sure what's beyond. It's the frontier. And remember, that's just Mull. We're not even getting into mainland Scotland yet. And it's pretty formidable. Those cliffs, the mountains, and this notion that you've got this new religion to spread to pagans and warriors over there. You had to really believe and really want. And there are parallels with being ambitious with what you want to do with life, work, whatever it is. If you're put off by that, you're not going to get anywhere. Dream big or go home.
In their mission to spread Christianity, Celtic saints crossed treacherous waters in search of unknown lands in curraghs and coracles. It was a commitment to faith. Some chose to travel without paddles, leaving the wind to guide them. I want a sense of what these incredible journeys might have been like. Jane, a willow weaver, is taking me to the perfect spot for a novice like me. Sheltered from today's wind, we're heading to Sandyl's Bay with paddles.
So here's the thing. I've been in coracles before.
Okay.
On very calm Welsh rivers. Usually going with the current for a very short distance. This is a totally different proposition.
Yeah, it's a different ask because these boats are inland boats. So they're meant for the rivers and the lochs. The ocean-going version is the curragh, and that is what St Columba would have come across in, which would have been at least 17 foot long and double the width, more than double the width of this. Every person on board would be working like mad to get these boats to move, and it's a very, very physical process, and they'd all be sending up a prayer for a bit of divine intervention to help them land safely.
I'm imagining these would have been pretty useful to head further into the islands and highlands of Scotland.
Yeah, they're light, they're easy to carry, they're very quick to make, take only 3 days to make. The framework is willow or hazel. Willow it grows widespread all over the west coast of Scotland.
Talk me through the hide though. It's almost translucent, isn't it?
It's stunning. If I just lift it up, and we might get the sun coming through
look
it.
at that.
It's just so beautiful, isn't it? It's just incredible. You do feel like you're paddling, you know, something quite living almost.
All right, here we go. Wish me luck.
It's hard work.
Is it?
It's really hard work.
Okay.
You're doing a figure of 8 stroke at the front of the curragh, and that will draw you along. And so it's that figure of 8 on its side.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a lean to get the paddle straight, because if the paddle's in at an angle, it won't create the pull.
I'm with you.
That's it, that's it, that's it, that's it. Nice and steady. Lovely, lovely. Hey, we're off. Ireland, here we go.
There we go. Well, we know it's going to be easier getting back in.
Yeah, we just turn round and bring the paddles on board.
Imagine on the big ocean, though.
Scary, terrifying.
Big waves. Tell you what, Columba must have been pretty disciplined to use these to spread the word of God. Now, can we also get ashore without getting wet?
As the evening draws in, the island is bathed in golden light. Long shadows beckon me to the north end of Iona. The monks here lived largely in isolation, to be closer to God. They had retreats across remote parts of the island. It's my final night, and I want to experience this solitude for myself. a converted shepherd's hut. Tucked away among the rocky outcrops is my bed for the night.
Look at that, there's a fire. Isn't that? Corncrake.
This tiny hut was built as a spiritual refuge for guests visiting the island.
I'm very happy. Oh, what a magical place.
It's nestled at the foot of Duneye and a short distance to Calver Beach. It's unbelievably peaceful. I can't wait to meet John and Rachel, who created this wonderful space. It reflects John's own experience of monastic life.
This is truly one of the most magical spots.
It's an extraordinary place to live. It has this aura about it. It tends to be a mirror on people's idea of it. So it embraces all sorts of people, all faiths, all creeds, non-faiths. It's a very curious place.
That being here is like being in a cathedral all the time. It's, you know, you've got the sky, you've got a sense of perspective. George MacLeod said about Iona being a thin place. I have a kind of slightly different take on it. The thing about islands is there's less space between heaven and earth because of the horizons and because you can see 360 degrees.
Obviously there's a huge religious draw here. I'm wondering, would you describe yourselves as religious?
Not particularly, no.
I came here as a kid and so it's the formative place in my life really, and certainly spent the first few years until my early 20s looking for a faith, Christian faith, and ended up in fact in a monastic order for a couple of years and discovered I had no faith whatsoever. But it's funny that I always wanted to live here and I love to be in a kind of Christian milieu, living in an ever secularizing culture. I'm still drawn to the language and the ritual of the church, even though I don't have a faith.
That's amazing. So you were actually living in a monastic...
A lay monastic order, yeah. I was lousy at it, yeah.
And what's your relationship with religion now?
I believe in mystery, I believe in poetry, and traditionally the figure at the right-hand side of God was the maker, the creator, the myth maker, the poet. So I can get that far up the hierarchy, the importance of mystery and poetry and metaphor.
Well, thank you for letting me stay tonight. I don't know if the corncrakes are going to keep me up or wake me up early, but there's something very magical about this. Wow.
It's just me and the birds. I have this beautiful place to myself.
There's something about being alone in a place like this. It makes me quite teary. I don't know why. It's ridiculous, isn't it? John in particular articulated something really obvious, that lots of landscapes and places are mirrors to what we want them to be. And I probably want Iona to be a powerful, spiritual, moving place, and it is, but it's a mirror to my own emotions and sentiments. And there's this notion that you can never escape yourself. So if you think about it, we bring emotional baggage with us, but if you can combine that with a powerful place and the story of healing and the story of empowerment, it's kind of the perfect ingredients.
What a journey it's been. The Inner Hebrides is an incredible place. I've learnt the importance of connecting with your heritage. Here, community is everything. I've sailed the ancient sea roads of the Celtic saints and realised that for some, these sacred islands have the power to strengthen faith and spirituality.
A pilgrimage in any context is about finding yourself, ultimately. Some people would say it's finding God, finding another being. But I think there is an element of self-enlightenment. And I think throughout this whole journey, there's been bits about me that not necessarily I've discovered, but that perhaps have been clarified. I know I like islands. I blooming love them.